also known as the Red Dragon. This book was first discovered written in Biblical Hebrew and Aramaic. It is said to have the ability to summon, restrain the devil himself. However, in many occult circles, it is believed that the book was written by Pope Honorius III in the 1200s while being possessed by an evil jinn, as a means to subtly spread evil throughout the world. In late September 2017, the Amasya Provincial Gendarmerie Command in Turkey had received information concerning a rare antique smuggler trading items that were not only hundreds of years old, but perhaps thousands. A day later, when Turkish police broke into the home of the tomb raider, they found what appeared to be antiquities from across the Middle East, including what at first glance appeared to be the Khatem Suleiman, otherwise known as the Seal of Solomon. An anomalous ring belonging to Prophet Suleiman that gave the wearer the ability to control an army of demons. This item is just one of the many occult items that have appeared in both Western and Eastern lore that is said, if found, can grant its owners unlimited power over the natural world and the supernatural. Three kilometers west of Takht Suleiman, in West Azerbaijan, is the demon prison. Local folklore says that here, King Solomon or Prophet Suleiman ibn Dawood used to imprison monsters. Here, one particularly ferocious demon was trapped by him after it had attempted to steal a special ring given to him from God that allowed him to wield the most powerful magic known to man. Known as the Seal of Solomon, the ring had the ability to control the Djinn, an invisible race of mortal beings made of fire. Initially, many quarters of the mainstream media speculated that it was this same ring that was recovered by Turkish authorities in early October 2017, only to learn that it was just a 500-year-old medieval copy of it. However, it is anomalous items like this that are riddled throughout history that have inspired not only individuals to find them, but also entire governments. Because having control over items like this is the equivalent to having absolute power in both the realms of the natural and the supernatural, especially magical rings. Throughout history, be it in the East or the West, rings have held a special and symbolic position as a representation of power. This has been portrayed in everything from art, literature, and film to law, religion, and magic. Writing in 1944 in the Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society, the historian J. Dawkins illustrates exactly why Solomon's ring in particular is so significant in both of our cultures, but especially in the Middle East, stating, "The West, aiming low, concentrated on the philosopher's stone and the elixir of life, conceivably attainable ends, and arrived at modern science. The East aimed higher at the grand source of power, from which all the rest would follow, and it arrived practically nowhere. This power was sought in knowledge of the seal of the great name, the seal containing the ineffable name of God, which was believed to have given Solomon his power over the Jinn." Many of the world's most famous anomalous artifacts that are speculated to exist originate from the Middle East, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. From the fictional grimoire known as the Necronomicon and its real-life equivalent, the Kitabu Shams al-Ma'arif wa Lata'if al-Awarif, to the biblical Ark of the Covenant and the Seal of Solomon. What many of these artifacts have in common is the immense power they wield. The Seal of Solomon, if ever found, would be one of the most powerful anomalous items in existence, at least according to Islamic and Jewish sources. Suleiman is highly revered, and because of his power, many relics and items associated with him have been pursued for thousands of years up until this very day, including his magical ring. The origins of the stories surrounding the Seal of Solomon are difficult to establish, but many skeptical historians believe medieval Arabic writers developed the lore of the artifact as well as its hexagram design that features a pentagram. Because hexagrams were used so prominently in Jewish esoteric literature from the early medieval period, it is generally agreed by most scholars that the symbol entered the Kabbalistic traditions via Arabic literature. The story of how Suleiman gained the power to control demons can be found in the books The Magical Treatise of Solomon and The Key of Solomon, two powerful grimoires or books of magic, rightfully or wrongfully attributed to Suleiman himself. In the Magical Treatise of Solomon, it states that his chief overseer had been plagued by a Djinn who stole half his wages and food and drained his life by sucking the thumb of his right hand. Not knowing what to do, Suleiman prayed to God for help and was given a magical ring by the Archangel Michael. This ring had the seal of God in the shape of a pentagram, giving Suleiman the power to control the demons. According to Judeo-Christian traditions, once he used the ring to subdue the demon harassing his chief overseer, he summoned the chief of the demons. Using his ring, he commanded it to bring another demon, until a large number of them were assembled before Suleiman. The king proceeded to interrogate each one and learn from them their names, where they lived, origin, and which words had power over them. Today, this precious magic ring is said to be buried alongside the body of the King Suleiman. And according to legend, the one who finds the ring could become the ruler of the world. As often portrayed in many movies, books, and television shows, various individuals and organizations, from the Vatican to the German government circa 1940, were rumored to be heavily interested in powerful anomalous artifacts like this ring. In fact, the German government in particular had an interest in the occult that is legendary. In March 2016, a collection of 13,000 occult and witchcraft books were found at the National Library of the Czech Republic in Prague. It belonged to Heinrich Himmler, an SS chief. The historian Nicholas Goodrich Clark states that the Germans' interest in the occult was part of a reaction to a modern liberal standpoint that was growing in Europe since the 1800s. Their interest in ancient Middle Eastern mysticism, like Kabbalism and its derivatives, was in order to prove the modern world was based on false and evil principles. According to Kamran Fakir in his book, The Rise of the Antichrist, much of Germany's involvement in the Middle East and North Africa during the 1940s were consequently partly motivated to acquire ancient Middle Eastern relics that hold supernatural power. For example, he states that their attempt to appeal to Arab nationalists across the region due to their grievances with the British Empire was with the goal to attain foothold in the northern part of the Gulf in order to procure one or more ancient Sumerian Stargates, believed to be initially unearthed in Iraq during the 1920s. These artifacts are meant to be able to create artificial wormholes between any two given spaces, where individuals can not only travel instantaneously across space, but also even realities and dimensions. It is also well established that the Germans went to some effort to acquire and save libraries worth of content related to the occult, and that they were even in league with the Vatican in doing so. Heinrich Himmler believed that the power of the old occult masters would help the Germans rule the world. Other esoteric organizations and societies, both past and present, who have an interest in the Middle Eastern occult includes the Kabbalah and of course the Knights Templar. Founded around 1118 during the times of the Crusades in Jordan, Hugh de Payens, a French knight, created the Knights Templar. From the Levant, the order established and maintained contact with mystic sects of different Middle Eastern religions and denominations, including sorcerers from across the Abrahamic faiths. Here, one of the most famous artifacts they have been associated with is the Ark of the Covenant. According to the Hebrew Bible and Islamic scholars, the Ark is a chest that holds tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments. With a legacy like this, it is understandable why such an anomalous artifact, perhaps the most powerful artifact in history, would be the target of the Knights Templar. This takes us back to Prophet Sulaiman, who is believed to have at one time had guardianship over the Ark. Like the Ark, his ring remains a source of speculation and interest due to its power, but to understand that power, magic is required. From an Islamic Middle Eastern perspective, the practice of any form of magic is prohibited as it usually requires an interaction with the Jinn, whether the practitioner is aware of it or not. Although Sulaiman's power did not come from Jinn but from God, what came after with regards to some of his artifacts is believed to be demonically influenced. In the books Magical Treatise of Solomon and the Key of Solomon, it is believed by some that understanding these works will provide the reader the ability to control the Jinn in the way Sulaiman did. Could their reader actually get the same results of Sulaiman? Theologically speaking, likely not, simply because they are not prophets from God. Could they still attain some kind of supernatural influence from reading them? Well, the Vatican might believe so. Locked deep within their archives is a book called Grand Grimoire, a book derived from the Key of Solomon. Also known as the Red Dragon, this book was first discovered in Palestine in 1750, written in Biblical Hebrew and Aramaic. It is said to have the ability to summon, restrain, and have a self-serving power over the devil himself. However, in many occult circles, it is believed that the book was written by Pope Honorius III in the 1200s while being possessed by an evil jinn, and that this jinn used the Pope as a means to subtly spread evil throughout the world. Therefore, in other words, this book and other occult artifacts more associated with evil and destruction want to be found and used. Ultimately, this could be seen as a metaphor for power in itself, be it supernatural or even natural, where the one who thinks they are wielding power are in fact being wielded by it. So what do you think? Please leave a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to contribute to the growth of this channel to take it to Netflix levels of production, please consider contributing on Patreon, where as a thank you note, once or twice a month we have bonus Patreon only episodes that are too dark or too controversial for YouTube to permit uncensored. Until then, see you in the next one.